morning. Today is July 17th, and this is The View with Catherine Chang. Today's topics are the crash of military helicopter OH-58D and the confirmation vote of legislators for the president of Control Yuan. First, I want to talk about the crash of military helicopter OH-58D. Just after the Hangguan military exercise yesterday, a military helicopter crashed in the Hsinchu Air Base and killed 2 pilots. There are several points. A, why was there a crash? This OH-58D helicopter was on its way back to Taoyuan from Hsinchu Air Base after concluding a live fire drill. It took off at around 3:25 p.m., but something went wrong after 2 minutes. The pilots responded back and said that the helicopter was showing a low rotor speed. According to the latest information, there might be a mechanical problem that caused the speed to be too low. And B, why did the helicopter perform a 180-degree authoritarian? And we still talk about an authoritarian maneuver. According to the military, the 2 pilots did their best to avoid crashing into civilian houses and attempt to perform a 180-degree left turn. President Tsai went to the mooring hole and also expressed her condolence. She said, at the moment of the accident, they chose not to conduct an emergency landing because they were flying over residential areas. So they missed the opportunity to save their lives. And they are our heroes. In fact, the crash incident is a shock to the Taiwanese people because the Hangguan military exercise yesterday morning was successful, and President Tsai went to Taichung for an on-site inspection. Unexpectedly, the crash happened just a few hours later. Today is the last day of Hangguan drill. Despite the trouble crash, they still performed the Hangguan military exercise, and it was successful. As to the incident, I want to show my respect to both of the soldiers. First, I want to say that Army Major Jian Renzhuan, you can see he has a 1-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. And the co-pilot, Captain Gao Jialong. Gao Jialong, he is only 28 years old and was planning on getting married this year. You have accomplished your mission. Thank you. Second issue I want to talk about is the confirmation vote of legislators for the president of Control Yuan. Today is the day for Legislative Yuan to approve the nomination of Chen Ju as president of the Control Yuan. And Chen Ju passed the vote with 65-3. However, there was a chaos in a meeting at around 9 a.m. this morning. The KMT smashed the ballot box and the legislators pushed and pulled at each other. It became a farce after the final results were announced. And KMT started throwing water balloons while the DPP legislators just blocking the barrage with a whiteboard. People might get kind of confused as to say why the nomination for president of Control Yuan becomes such a controversy. There are several reasons. A, Chen Ju is a former presidential office secretary general. Therefore, making Chen Ju look bad is kind of making President Tsai look bad. B, KMT wanted to use the nomination as an opportunity to raise their own voices, but then they got caught up in a sexual harassment issue. As I mentioned before, KMT legislator Chen Xueshen used his body to push DPP legislator Fan Yun. You can see over here. Here is Chen Xueshen, and here is Fan Yun. So she just said that you keep pushing me with your body. And today, there's also something like that. There was another issue. KMT legislator Chen Yuzhen is a she, forcefully put her hand into legislator Lin Changzhuo's pocket to try to steal his ballot. You can see over here. It's got a hand putting back and put in the pocket. It's really rude. And Lin Changzhuo was a singer from a famous heavy metal band, the name Shanling. And this is what when he was singing, it's kind of appealing in a way. But, I want to say that legislator Chen Yuzhen even said that, well, I don't know if I touch his abs or not. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really a farce. here are the top stories. Today, we have two confirmed cases which are important. They are a woman in her 20s and a man in his 40s, and both of them came back from Philippines. As tension rise between the U.S. and China, Bloomberg published an article revealed that Trump leans against sanctions on Chinese officials for now. And they wrote, according to the source, before signing the Hong Kong Autonomy Act on Tuesday, Trump has indicated to aides that he doesn't want to further escalate tensions with Beijing and has ruled out additional sanctions on top officials for now. Well, the list of officials, including, China's Vice Premier Han Zheng, Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam, and Hong Kong Police Commissioner Chris Tong, Deng Bingqiang. However, Reuters have the different point of view. Reuters published an article to clarify that White House said Trump has not ruled out sanctions on Chinese officials. What did they say? Well, they said that according to the source, White House discussions ongoing about potential target for sanctions has no final decisions have been made. Also, White House National Security Council spokesman John Wooler denied and said that in no way has Trump taken anything off the table with respect to further sanctions of party officials for actions in Hong Kong or on their issues. And, kind of suggestion otherwise by anonymous source, it's a flat-out wrong. On the other hand, the New York Times published an article revealing that U.S. weighs sweeping travel ban on Chinese Communist Party members. And they wrote, according to the source, the Trump administration is considering a sweeping ban on travel to the U.S. by members of the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, and their families. And the presidential proclamation, still in draft form, could also authorize the U.S. government to revoke the visas of party members and their families who are already in the country, leading to their expulsions. And of course, about this, they are very angry. Following U.S. sanctions, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying fought back and said, well, as the only superpower in the world, the United States wrongly imposes sanctions or threatens, which is just pathetic. Also, Chinese state media Global Times published an article to counter back, and the title is U.S. travel ban on CPC members is kind of paranoid, risk dragging ties to the 1972. That is the analysis report on that. I think what they're talking about it is referring to the Cold War between U.S. and China prior to 1972. You remember at that time, it was only when former U.S. President Richard Nixon visited China in 1972 that we saw a turning point in the U.S.-China relations. And they wrote, according to a professor, the travel ban is unrealistic and fully displays a Cold War mentality and ideological prejudice. As a CPC has more than 91 million members in China, the travel ban would affect a wide range of Chinese people and rock the already strained China-U.S. ties. Talking about a TikTok, regarding to the U.S. restrictions on TikTok, that could come in weeks, and TikTok expected to operate as a U.S. company. White House economic advisor Riley Clough, he said that we haven't made final decisions, but I think TikTok is going to pull out of the holding company, which is China-run and operate as an independent American company. Lastly, well, there's something interesting on U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's Twitter I want to share with you. Yes, as you can see, this is it. This is his dog here, and this is Winnie the Pooh. Mike Pompeo said it on Twitter. He said that Mercer and all of her favorite toys. Well, the treat has ignited significant attention because Winnie the Pooh is a common kind of flattering nickname for Chinese President Xi Jinping. And Pompeo was asked on the radio interview about the treat, and he denied he was poo-pooing Xi Jinping. It's like poo-pooing. So that is very interesting in a way. So this is Friday. So how is your Friday? I hope everything is fine. I'm going to do some exercise tomorrow and eat good and have fun with family and friends. So I hope you all well for the weekend. And you can tune into podcasts if you want to listen to my special edition on the English review. So let's see next Monday, okay? Bye.